Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you a little bit of a recap on the Gamer Grunts tournament circuit. There was an event earlier this April, a couple weeks back, where it was a one-day event. I think maybe about 10 or 12 players, and the tournament circuit for Gamer Grunts is small but growing. And what's pretty interesting and exciting is that they've been doing it at various different shops. It's mostly at Time Warp Comics and Games in Cedar Grove, New Jersey. But they're trying to do it in various different locations in the northern New Jersey area, and I think they're even looking to go and branch out from there. And they've run a couple of these already. I've missed a bunch because they've had either other events, like I went to Adepticon or family stuff, but I'm looking to go to this. And I've worked with the Gamer Grunts guys before. They're a local gaming group. They used to run a shop. They play lots of different games, and it's a fairly large group playing various different games. And the Age of Sigmar interest has been growing, but they're now looking to try and work with some of the local shops to do similar to what I've done. But that's to organize these events, and they're doing it. Obviously, they have more resources and more people putting time into it. And the top two guys, Nelson and Joe, are they're really passionate about Age of Sigmar, and they've been they've been really trying to work towards a larger GT size, grand tournament sized event, which I'll talk about at the end of the show, which is very impressive what they're looking to do. And I definitely I hope you can you stay to the end and you watch all the way to the end, and you kind of you check this out, because if you're a competition painter or if you're a tournament player, you want to know about this. This is going to be pretty impressive. But this was one of I think this was Heat 2 for the season. And this is so there was some pretty good competition. There was some players that you might know. For instance, formerly the Sustainable Center Anthony, who's now HR online. He brought an army there, and Anthony's always going to be a tough game. He's a smart player. He's got plenty of history, putting out tactical strategy videos. He's dabbling with Age of Sigmar, and I hope he sticks with it. I think he's not really optimizing his list. He's taking what he has, and he's going to make the best of it, and I can completely appreciate that. But I think if he puts his, if he really buckles down and buys an army or optimizes an army based on what he purchases for competition play, I think Anthony's going to be a force to be reckoned with if he's that interested in it. You have to be really dedicated into Age of Sigmar, and I think he plays a lot of games. But I have a feeling, maybe we'll get Anthony back into the fold. In any case, the bottom line here is this is a one-day event, and it was a lot of fun, and I was lucky enough that I had the free time to come down to it, and I'm really glad I did. So I went and I brought my undead. I wanted to bring something that was fully painted. I'm trying to do that more and more. It's probably not going to be something I'm going to consistently do, because I'm looking to actually start painting up some of the alternate armies that I have, and it's going to take a while to get them to the status of some of the core stuff that I have from my tournament undead, which is not nearly complete, but I have enough stuff that I can bring to these events that are painted, and I'm really happy about that. So I've decided I was going to bring a different list than what I brought to Adepticon. Some of the similarities, but I wanted to bring something that was, I wanted to try a debuff list. So I brought a Neferata Morngol Cursed Book artifact list, which you'll see shortly. It did pretty well. So let's see how everything turns out. So my first game, oddly enough, was against Anthony. This is a little bit of a blurry picture. This is Take and Hold. So we have our objective on either side of our board in the center, which is, I love this mission, but I hate it at the same time, because invariably what it happens is that you wind up charging across the field in kind of that old school middle of the board scrum that really made everybody go crazy in the early parts of AOS, because then they said, oh, everything just runs into the middle and fights. And that's kind of what this does. I wish there was more dimension to this, but there was also something enticing in the center here, which is additional victory points if you have this at the end of the battle. So there weren't really tertiary, secondary, tertiary objectives like we saw at Adepticon, like I'm seeing in other events that I've been going to, which I'd like to see more of, just to give more dimension and a little more depth to what you can do in terms of gaining victory and winning the game. It's the kind of thing that kind of separates the men from the boys when it comes to how good you are as a general. But this was fine because I think the trend is to stick to the core missions and maybe do a little bit of adjustment to them, add something on. So I like what they're doing here. The Game of Grunts guys are they're sticking to some of the basics with as minimal comp as possible, which I appreciate. So that's it. Take and hold. You get points based on how many turns you own your objective. The objective in your starting territory, and if you can take the one on your opponents, you'll win the game. So that's it. Or if you can deny them it as well. And if you both don't do it, which often is what happens in this mission, it's about what you kill. So this can be actually one of those missions where it's really just line up and kill. So you can just keep your objective. You just kill your opponent and you win the game. Unfortunately, that's why I like these all of these added objectives. Okay, so moving on. This is Anthony's list. Now, again, Anthony's taking what he has available, and what he found 15 hex rates in the box. He said so. He has a unit of 15 hex rates, which is pretty impressive. It's a lot of points for this, though. You can get a vampire lord and a zombie dragon for the amount of points you're spending here, or Neferata, or a war sphinx. The amount of wounds, though, is pretty impressive. It's 30 wounds, and it's an unrendable armor save. And you could see here that he went and he put his mystic shield on this. He takes the first turn. So these guys are 3 up now. 30 wounds, 3 up, and they can dish pretty good, and they can move pretty fast. So it's not a bad idea. I think people underuse hex wraiths, but they definitely have a place. I tend to use them either in 5s or 10s. I like them better at 10s, but it's a lot of points. But at 15 wounds, that's a harsh unit. That's a unit that can stick in there and be very. It'd be very hard to remove them from an objective, and they could do a lot of damage. He's got off to the right what is it looks like a piece of terrain, but that's actually his converted mortis engine. He's got a unit of Blood Knights, 5 Blood Knights. Behind that, he's got 3 units of zombies, which are just going to merge into one big unit, which is exactly what I do. I think he's got I believe that's a mounted necromancer in the between the Blood Knights and what looks like a Bretonnian. Used to be probably the Bretonnian Lord. That is his vampire lord on Abyssal Terror, which I use myself. And then he's got a unit of 6 snake surfers. So these guys are rough, and they're hard to put down, and they're hard to get rid of, and they recover pretty quickly. So it's an efficient list because it's few drops as possible. Each unit is going to have its benefits. There's really no weak links here. The downside is that how much ground is he going to cover? In this mission, he's lucky enough that it's really one objective that he needs to take and one objective he needs to hold, which is why it's called take and hold. And so he can really project out with the power of what this army is. And so this is rough. It's a combination death and Tomb Kings, generic death and Tomb Kings. And it's probably the list that I wanted to face the least, because a lot of what I do is negated by being against the death list. Mainly the effects of a mortis engine. I have a cursed book on my on one of my characters. His cursed book, I believe, it doesn't work against death. If I remember correctly, if you're a death army, it doesn't have an effect on you. So both of our cursed books were wasted. Okay, here's my army. As you can see, I as well. I have a Bretonnian undead list, which, if you're following my channel, you probably know a lot about. I've got the 3 starter units just as my buffer and my screen. I've got my mortis engine. You can see here I have my Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror. I have a Mourngul here. This is Neferata. I have a unit of Hex Wraiths of my own and a unit of Blood Knights. So my goal is to keep this unit of Blood Knights and Hex Wraiths together. I will move up the Hex Wraiths. They can fly, so they can fly over this chaff line. They can get stuck in there, hopefully survive, maybe take some losses, but if they don't, they're going to retreat out in the following turn and then do their spectral, move through, which on a roll of a 6, I wish that was a 5 or a 4 up or something a little better, but on a roll of a 6, it's kind of, doesn't happen very often, which is why I like taking 10 of these guys, but they can do some pretty good damage if they can do a mortal wound there. They can be pretty resilient, and then do a follow-up charge with my Blood Knights thereafter. So I have a couple of different things I can do. I have Neferata, who can project a -1 to opponent to hit rolls, which is both shooting and regular. The Morngul can do it more localized. It's only 6 inches from him. That everybody blows that out of proportion. But these will stack, which is good. But the Morngul is really hard to get put down. He's tough. You really got to focus on him. And if you do, you can drop him, but you can't do it from right up in his face. You got to do it from distance. And then I have the Curse Book on my Vampire Lord and Abyssal Terror, but that's not going to be in use here. And of course, I can do some healing or even damage with the Mortis Engine. But again, just like my opponent, the best abilities are not going to come into play because I can't. Anything that I do to myself, I'm going to be doing to my opponent as well. So if I heal myself with that big explosion, I'm also going to be healing him. So it really has to be situational more than ever in this game. Okay, so moving on. Turn 1, I believe he got the first turn, and he was able to put down a Mystic Shield on his Hex Wraiths, and he started moving his guys up. He merged his zombies. He didn't do much else, and I went thereafter. And I marched. I ran up my zombies. I'm looking to try and create a buffer zone here as quickly as I can to prevent him from moving. And if he wants to move past me, he's going to get into a kill zone with stuff I have in the second rank. He's not going to be able to end his turn anyway here. He's going to have to charge these guys, and it's going to be limited amount of resources. And I don't mind him doing that because then I'll crunch him with a sandwich. I've got Nephi to give that projected -1. I double moved through my spell ability with my Abyssal Terror Lord. I did a double. I doubled the move of my Morngul. And you could just see the Morngul here at the inside the center objective, and I'm going to sit him there and hold that objective now, because if I can take that center objective, even if we split on the take and hold, I will win points there, and that's important. So I put out on a line here my my Blood Knights and my Hex Wraiths, just to see where he goes. If he walks in with anybody here into this zone here, I'm gonna go after them with these 2 units. And I'm concerned about this area here, but I've got Nephi, I've got the Morngul, and I've got my Vampire and Abyssal Terror to support anything that the zombies get in trouble with, because they're not going to last very long. All right, so we get to turn 2 and roll off, and I believe I got this turn. You can see that he bunkered up with a lot of his stuff here. He just kind of moved things up. I went ahead and consolidated. I moved everything up. I'm trying to control this area here. I'm making it hard for him to get around me from the side, so that to try and get any of my important figures like Neferata or my Abyssal Terror Lord. You can see just the one tail end here of my Hex Wraiths. I changed my mind on what I was going to do. I could see he's got these Snake Surfers, and I needed to find something to put them in check. And so I decided to move up my Blood Knights instead. So what I did was, I believe if I remember correctly, I went ahead and gave them the Twilight ability, which locked in their save, made it unrendable, which is great because a 3-up save is locked now when you do that. Where traditionally their normal rules are if they face any kind of rend, it's like a double whammy. They lose the shield that gives them one of their extra +1 to make it 4-up to 3-up. So not only do you lose that, but then you get rended, which means they go to a 5-up. And they're pretty tough, the Blood Knights, but if you even got 1 rend, that makes their armor save pretty weak. So now with that Mystic Twilight, I don't think it's Mystic Twilight. I forget what it is. It's her special ability that she can, that she can may also make them fly. That was important, and so now they have a locked 3-up, and sometimes I'll even throw up a Mystic Shield if I can get enough spells off. And then I gave him the double move, so I flew them up and then charged them into his Hex Wraith line. Not that I want to go after his Hex Wraith necessarily, but I want to try and drop these guys a little bit. And in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have gone after the Hex Wraiths. I think the main reason why is I wanted to force him to retreat with them. Maybe I'll take some bad, some wounds, or he could do that spectral flight later on in his. But if I force him to retreat with this unit, if I get something in there, maybe bloody him a little bit, maybe he loses 1 or 2 guys. Next turn, all he can do is retreat. But if I don't do anything, he's going to get the move and the charge, and that's going to probably wipe out all the zombies I have. Or if he's lucky enough with a good move, he might be able to get all these guys in on either the Mortis Engine or even Neferata. And I don't want to take that chance. So I gotta try and stop them now. And the best unit I have to do that right now is the Blood Knights, because with them being souped up as they are, again, a locked up 3-up save, and on top of that, the fact they have 3 wounds each. If I lose one, he's not going to get a lot of guys in there because he's got that long line, and may fold 1 or 2 more of them models in, but he's got the long line, so he's not going to get a lot of them, and he's not going to be able to surround me, at least not the first turn. So with that, maybe I'll lose one guy, but I'll get him back. As long as I don't wipe, the unit doesn't wipe, and I don't see that happening, I'll get him back. Plus, if I remember correctly, the Morngol was in range to incur a -1, and he's well within range of the 15-inch line. So he's actually got -2 to hit the Blood Knight. So it's really hard for him to do anything right now. What I really want to do is I want to get after his general. I want to try and find a way to go get his general, because I think that was also one of the missions here that we had to go and get. If we can get the general, I think we got some additional points or something along those lines. So we get, and then I put the hex rates down here because I didn't want to go and throw them in and get them wiped out. I wanted to hold them back as a counter to maybe, for instance, his snake surfers, or just to as an extra buffer line or a counterattack if those hex rates of his fly out and retreat next turn, and also as maybe a stopgap if he throws his Blood Knights, which are over here now, in, because he seems to be having up on this side, my left. Okay, so we get to the next turn. I've gotten 2 victory points, and he goes ahead and moves up. He moves his Mortis Engine off to this side, which I think is a big mistake because it's unsupported. Now, I don't have a lot that can threaten it right now. I just have the zombies, and I have a Mortis Engine behind it, but I also have my Vampire Lord. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I did take also a Heinrich. You can just barely see him here. So let's see if I can zoom in there. Yeah, there we go. There's Heinrich. So yeah, I had a little more spell power there as well. He moved his snake surfers up gingerly, which I think he should have piled these guys in. He should have gone after, just either went after my hex race. He probably would have taken my hex race out completely. Probably bloodied up my zombies a little bit. You could, if you put enough hurt on zombies, they're not going to recover quick enough, and they're going to go down like wheat anyway. And I only have 30 of them. So as you can see here, I'm surrounded. My Blood Knights are sitting right here. He moved in his Blood Knights and then surrounded me. So I'm a little bit in trouble because I've got a lot of bodies here, and I think I may have lost 3, 5. Yeah, I've got 5 still. I didn't lose any more of these guys, and I think I may have dropped 1 or 2 of them, and he's got at least 1 wound on his hex rates. But again, I'm surrounded. But I've got the benefit of this bubble of -2 to his hit rolls, so I'm not terribly worried. But I gotta help those Blood Knights out. They're not going to last forever. Okay, so as you can see, I lost a Blood Knight, but he lost 2 Blood Knights, and then he lost, I think, 2 or 3 so far of his hex rates. Not a lot. This is going to take forever if we continue at this pace, so it's not exactly that impressive. Again, Blood Knights after their charge are very, very manageable. They're a tar pit, but you get a good rend, even 1 rend on them, they'll start dropping. So I managed to drop 2 of these guys and put another wound on them. I'm pretty happy about that. We go in for, and actually I think he might have charged with those snake surfers and failed, so that was probably why he didn't push them forward even further. Okay, we get to turn 3, and it looks like he won it, so we managed to get his snake surfers in this time, and he did exactly what I think he was trying to do the first turn. So it wasn't that he decided not to. I think he just failed to charge. So these guys now have the +1 save. He retreats out his Blood Knights so they can recover, which is smart. I don't know if he actually added the additional Blood Knight here that he should have. He might have lost another one. Maybe that's why. You could see that he's retreated out his hex rates, so they're off over here, and it looks like they're either going to go after my Morngol, or they're going to try and support his Mortis Engine, which when it charged in, I don't think it should have had this wide line here. I think he should have found a way to make it straight on in. So if those hex rates charged maybe the zombies, that they would have had a full line. But I think he's holding them back because he's concerned. He doesn't have much holding his defensive position here. The token is back here. He only has his Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror, and that guy's good, but he's not great. But I think this guy should have jumped into the fray a little bit earlier. But he moved his zombies in, so tar pit on tar pit. Again, I got to leave now with these Blood Knights. I've now got 30 zombies on me, and they're probably going to be locked up for the game now. So that wasn't a bad move. That's just simply 30 zombies locking up one of my elite units. So we move forward, and I guess we don't see exactly how this turns out. Let's see if I have another picture of that. Okay, so what happens here is I must have lost one of my hex rates, so I retreated on my turn. I retreated them out. Not that I didn't want to try to take out these snake surfers, but these snake surfers, they recover, I think, 1 base and they're 5 wounds each. That's a lot of points, and it's a really strong unit. But I figured if I retreated them out, I only have a bunch of zombies here that he's only going to have 2 that are going to face me. 1 or 2 of these guys, maybe a third if he folds this in. So he's wasting the attacks on this outer edge here. And I can go reposition these guys to protect my objective, because if he blows through these zombies and I don't have anything here, he's going to take my objective and win the game. So I've got to have something here to slow him down. And I decided to move in. I moved out the Morngul because I'm going after his general. I'm going after his objective. And then I moved Neferata up there too. So I think I did the double move on Neferata. I'm pretty sure I did that because I could see a token there. And I go ahead and I moved her all the way up. I flew her all the way up, trying to go after either his necromancer or his general. So I figured I'd split with the 2 of them. What I probably should have done is just, ganged up on his general, wiped him out, and came back for his necromancer, mounted necromancer. But at this point, I figured maybe I could do both. And I know that the Morngul is pretty strong, and he may be able to do it. But in retrospect, I probably should have gone and ganged up just on his general and then mopped up later. As you can see, I grew back another lost Blood Knight. I moved up my Vampire Lord and Abyssal Terror here to kind of help on this side. I want to go after either the zombies or the Blood Knights, or both, because I really need to keep I want to try and take out those Blood Knights. If I can wipe them off the table, I definitely have the game. And I'm not really worried about his Mortis Engine here. He's not going to do enough damage to these zombies. Really, the only danger here is the Snake Surfers taking out the zombies. And as you can see, I moved my Mortis Engine here into the center to kind of keep that objective. And there's really no room for him to move anybody in. Maybe a couple of models to move anybody in to kind of take this objective. He's got to move all the way around, blow through all this stuff, and he's only got a little bit of space because of the big wide base here. And yes, we are doing base to base, and there is no overlapping of bases. So let's not hear any of that, because that is foul. I don't care how you play it, model or base to base, no overlapping of bases. Nobody's crunching on anyone's beautifully sculpted bases with their nice little flowers and whatever. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. So yeah, there's no really place for him to get in here. He may be able to get a couple guys around the side here, but he's not going to get a whole lot of them. But he's got 15 of these guys that are now not being used, and that's big. He's going to have to come after my Morngul, which is probably a good idea, and save his general, or he's going to go on the attack. So I'm not sure which, but I think he's going to have to go. I'm really forcing him to make a decision. Bandon trying to come, take the game here at the bottom and protect himself and leave me open. Is he going to be able to do it quickly enough? Because I put odds on the Morngul and Neferata to really work through. Maybe it'll take more than a turn, but they'll work right all the way through those hex rays eventually. It may take a little bit of time, but it'll happen. But I am worried about them because they could lock me up for the rest of the game if I can't, there's still like probably about 26 or 28 wounds left in that. But the Snake Surfers are worrying me, so I want to get my Vampire Lord in a position where I can do something about them. If I can't lock them up, I've got to try and drop them, and that's a lot of a lot of wounds there. All right, so we get to turn 3. I'm in the lead now with 5. He doesn't get the victory points because I have guys next to his objective, and I believe you only gain the victory points if there's nobody there. So his turn moves in. He starts folding in. He's got 3 guys now on the zombies. I've been losing zombies. Not much going on with his Mortis Engine. It's been flubbing. I've killed off his Necromancer. I have not killed off with his Vampire Lord. It's unfortunate. I did charge in with my Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror into his Blood Knights. I removed another Blood Knight, so he's down to 2. I took a wound for my trouble. My Blood Knights are not going anywhere, but they're not getting far either. There's still probably about 20 zombies here, so they're not really doing too well. And I'm losing zombies. I've got I think it is less than 20 here now, which is not good because they get worse as they go down, and they're getting crunched too quickly to recover. I mean, these 3 next turn it's going to be 4. I've got to help out, but I need to keep a unit here, and I've got Heinrich sitting here. And I'm just trying to do that to make it harder for him to get anybody in there to go take on my Mortis Engine, keep the center. But I figure before the game ends, there's only a couple of turns. Maybe I'll lose my zombies, but these guys are not going to really amount to much before the game ends. So if I can rack up the points, then I'll take the game. We get to, I believe this is turn 4. As you can see, I've lost all my zombies. He's killed them all. I sacrificed them to the cause. I've not killed his Mortis engine. I've done nothing to his snake surfers. If I killed one or did any wounds, he recovered them. So there's that. You can see that he also lost all of his zombies, and I managed to clean off the rest of his Blood Knights. But what I've done here is I moved out my my Mortis engine to try and take on his Mortis engine, so Mortis on Mortis, and then moved in from my objective the hex rates, my hex rates, taking the center point. And the reasoning for that is that I've got enough of a point lead that I don't care about losing my objective. Even if he takes one turn, I'm going to take the game. I moved Neferata off to the side here. I think I finished off his Lord, but he charged my Morngul with his hex rates. I may have retreated Neferata out of there just so I didn't risk losing her, because again, think of the general as a target. If you kill the general, you got some bonus points. So that was another thing they put on there. And we got to turn 5, and I think this is, let me see here. Yeah, this is how the game ends. So the game ends. Neferata moves off here, finishes off his Mortis engine. You can see that the Morngul is just inundated with all these hex rates, which are not going anywhere. There's more than half of them left. I moved my Blood Knights to take on his Snake Surfers. I don't think I even killed one. Yeah, it looks like I may have killed one and put some wounds on another, but again, did nothing to them. It's just a tough unit. But I managed to block them up long enough in the game to take the game. So I took the game, max points, and moved on to the next game, which was, and by the way, this was a tough game. I had -2 in most cases right from the center of the board, emanating out from there to hit. So that was a big deal. So that really hurt my opponent and put him on his heels really from the get-go. That's pretty much how this game works. You got to, especially when it comes to the objectives. If you can take the objectives and start scoring points early, sometimes you can coast a little bit later on if to salvage some points, but you can sacrifice some, to in some cases, if you've got an early lead. It's very hard to play catch up once you've lost the lead. All right, so the next game I played against this is an escalation, which we played the revised escalation, and this is against I think this is top table. This is a revised Beast Claw combined list. So he's got 3 units of Noblars, which are underrated. I think these are Noblars. Yeah, they must be. He's got, I think he's got 3 of the big Beast Claw boys, and he's got a Magma Dragon. So I think the Magma Dragon's a little bit overpriced for what he's looking to do. I think he'd be better off if he took another Thunder Tusk. But I think this is a double Thunder Tusk, single Stonehorn list. So we'll go see and take a look. And you can see that I've not really bubble wrapped, but I put a lot of my strong assets further away, and that's what the revised escalation is that way. Certain parts of your army have to be further away from the center than others. And like your battle line units can be within 9. I think if you're a behemoth or something like that, I think it's like 18. So it kind of scatters you out. So I wanted to put a line here. And I'm looking for a means to, and this is there's 3 object points here that are objectives. I'm looking to try and focus on which 2 I want. Because anytime there's 3 objectives, you focus on 2, let the opponent take the 3rd. If you could double up on 2, if they've spread out across all 3, you're going to do well. So it's just a matter of which ones. And then, of course, the center tends to be the one where everybody fights over. Okay, so turn 1, I think he may have given me the turn. I don't remember because I think he out-deployed me with less drops. So I move up with my zombies. I've got a nice little line here, a little bit of a thick line. I move not quite close enough to really get any of the objectives, but I split my 2 mobile units here so I can decide which way I want to go. But I'm letting him have this, but I want to have something close enough that I can kind of take it if I need it. I don't want to push any of these things too far up. Well, these are my big assets, but see, because he's got at least 2 Thunder Tusks. And if he can get within close enough distance, he's going to start blasting them. And I do not have the movement or the distance of any kind to go and take on those Thunder Tusks turn 1. We're just too far apart. We're much further apart than we would normally be with some of these big things. So if he gets within 18 of me, which he legitimately could, especially with that, the destruction special ability, then he can get within range to kind of start plucking off mortal wounds on my important assets. And I kind of want to have him try to do that against either things resilient like the Morngul, or things that I can easily take losses from, which is like my zombies, or even my my Blood Knights. If he drops one or two, I know I'm going to get one back definitely next turn. And if they don't get wiped out, then I can do it the following turn as well. And I put right here in this nice little globe, I put Heinrich in. All right, so we get to, I believe it's the bottom of one, and he starts moving up. He can, again, it's a long distance. I don't think he did any shooting, so he consolidates his 3 different packs here. You really can't see it because it's too far up the top. And then he does his, and then I believe that we get to the next turn, which I believe I must have gotten because I see that I'm charged here. But you can see he's got his 1, 2 Thunder Tusks. His he looks like it's a Frostlord and a Stonehorn. There's his Magma Dragon. He's got what looks like it must be a Grot Shaman, and then his 3 units of they look like Noblars. These guys might actually be Moonclaw for all I know. That he didn't have any Fanatics. I don't know, but they were the little guys. Okay, so I double turned with my Vampire Lord and Abyssal Terror, my Blood Knights, and I just want to wipe out one of these units. Actually, no, I didn't double turn. I double turned the Morngul because I need to drop one of these Thunder Tusks down where their blast is manageable. So I moved up Neffy off to this side here because, again, I can always use her ability, with flying and the potential double move in the following turn. If I can wipe out this Thunder Tusk, I could swoop around and go take on the second Thunder Tusk because I'm not as worried about the Stonehorn. It's going to take a lot of effort to drop him. I am worried about that Magma Dragon, but that's a lot of points to drop the Magma Dragon. I kind of want the Magma Dragon to get into the center here. If I can bait the Magma Dragon to take this center, I can swarm him. I can take stuff from various different points. I can bring in Neffy, my Vampire Lord, my Mortis Engine can do its big explosion. I can charge in with my Hex Wraiths. I may even be able to get my Blood Knights in there if they wipe these guys out. So this is this kill zone that I'm hoping that he's going to take. I'm hoping he doesn't kind of swoop around and take my Hex Wraiths from the center here, because there's also a center objective here as well. And I just wanted to grab that and see if I can, if I can entice him to. If he goes after it, fine. I'm gonna retreat out my Hex Wraiths and then move everything in this way that I can. That's not focused on these Thunder Tusks. But if I can drop that one Thunder Tusk in one turn, I'm gonna be thrilled. Even if I just bloody it to the point where it's near dead, it's gonna be much more manageable. So I do wipe out this unit of Noblars, which I'm thrilled about. And I managed to, I think, drop the second unit of Noblars too. So his move, he backs off with his Thunder Tusk, and he just opens up everything he can onto my Morngul. And it just took all the attention. And I lost the Morngul pretty early, which, that's what happens. Mornguls, people just overblow how powerful they are. They are effective. They are powerful. If used properly, they can very much help your game. But they're not invincible. And if you put enough focus fire, just like on a Stonehorn, you're going to get stuff through, and you'll eventually drop those 10 wounds. But you've got to do it before that guy is able to start healing back. All right, because he can heal stuff back. He can't heal himself back. So he moves his he did exactly what I was hoping he would do. He moved in his Magma Dragon here into the center, and I was able to, I managed to get like an Arcane Bolt on it. I charged in my Mortis Engine, which has 12 attacks. If I roll any 6s, I can get mortal wounds. I did that as well. I managed to go and do its Scream, which got a couple more mortal wounds because it doesn't have a very good leadership. Managed to, I think I might have gotten even 1 or 2 of the Blood Knights that got in on that. But however it turned out, I dropped that Magma Dragon, and so he lost the Magma Dragon. I lost my my Morngul, and then he repositioned his Stonehorn Frostlord over off to the center, and he backed off one of his Thunder Tusks. These guys are just shooting platforms. This Thunder Tusk here is completely untouched, but I think when it shot, it actually rolled a 1, which is, you just can't count on that happening. It was just a bad luck for my opponent. So he's lost his 2 screening units, and I think at this point I've lost all my zombies. He might have actually blown some of his attacks to kill my zombies. That may have been something that he did even with the Magma Dragon. But I feel very strong here because he's got 3 of his big boys here in the center, and I lost one of my biggest and most expensive units. But I've got a lot of power sitting here on this side. So I'm owning this objective. I'm still taking the center. And if I can keep that center, I think I'm okay. But I need to go after this Thunder Tusk and drop it. It's wounded. And I need to figure out how to, which one of these two I'm going to focus on. Because as much as I have strength here, there are some weaknesses. And I've already lost some wounds on Neferata, as you can see. I think he's managed to get a lot of these shots off, and these are pretty devastating. I'm down 5 wounds out of 8 on my Abyssal Terror. I'm down 7 wounds out of 11 on Neferata. You can see that I've lost 2 out of 5 on Heinrich. Only down 1 wound on my Mortis Engine, and I've lost 3 of my Blood Knights, which I could get back, but they've got to survive. All right, so right now I'm only up by 1 point when it comes to victory overall, so this is pretty close. Then he moves, and I think he won the double turn, and he moved. Oh, so he didn't kill his center unit of Noblars. I believe what he did is he ran one up, so he cascaded them, and he went to go after the other objective with this one. So all he has to do now is take the center objective, and that would be trouble. It would be big-time trouble for me because I'm only owning this one, and if I try to move off to the center, he's going to come up my rear with all these, these frost-crapping Thunder Tusks. So I've got a problem. I move off the center objective here, my Hex Race, to go after this unit of Noblars, and I hope I can kill them all because, yeah, I'd probably be able to drop, I don't know if they're Noblars or Moon Clan, I forget, but if I could drop enough of them, maybe they'll be at Battle Shocked off. I move Heinrich up here because he's now close enough into the center, and I'm just daring these guys to come in there, but I'm hoping he doesn't. I move my Mortis Engine to take the objective that I've been owning up until now. I think I've already popped most of its best abilities, so and I don't want to sacrifice any of these other big things that I have here. I managed to heal back some wounds. Nephi heals. I also did the big explosion that does mortal wounds and heals me. So I got some wounds back on my Vampire Lord. And now I'm moving in for the kill. I've got 3 Blood Knights that are going to go after his Thunder Tusk. And I've got these 2 guys who are going to go after his Stonehorn. I could not see how I could get to this other Stonehorn, this other Thunder Tusk, without also engaging his Stonehorn. So I'm trying to limit what I can do. I'm willing to take the chance that this 6 mortal wounds that he dishes on me is going to go after Nephi, and I'll have enough buffer that he won't die. But if he does it against this Abyssal Terror Vampire Lord, then he's going to be off the board. But then that saves Nephi, so I'm okay with that. All right, so that's a trade-off. So I kill his Stonehorn. I mean, Neferata is butch. I go in and I open up with my I believe with my Vampire Lord. He goes ahead and attacks back with his Stonehorn. I actually, and I've weakened his Stonehorn completely, Frosthorn Stonehorn very considerably. I decide to go next with my Blood Knights. That finishes off the sorely wounded Thunder Tusk, so that's gone. And then Neferata goes and cleans up. And the way to use Neferata is you go through all of our attacks, and use our dagger last. And if the dagger is able to wound an opponent but not kill it, and it has even a couple wounds left, if you roll high enough or higher than the number of remaining wounds, it kills you outright. And I think he had like 1 wound left. I rolled a 2, dead. He's gone. So I managed to, in 1 turn, kill probably like 2 wounds left on this Thunder Tusk, finish off the Thunder Tusk, kill his general Frost Lord on a Stonehorn. I believe I must have done some wounds, maybe with a Arcane Bolt. I must have done a few wounds. He's got 4 wounds off this Stonehorn here, which does bring it down to where instead of 6 mortal wounds, it's a die 6. You can see that I've healed a few wounds on these guys also because if you kill things or if they do just on their own, they have the ability to heal, like Nephi does. They'll gradually come back, and you can see I've got 4 Blood Knights back from the losses. And then we move to the okay, wait, now I realize that I did not kill his Stonehorn. He must have retreated this guy out. So I am not sure. Maybe this is the death pile. Yeah, I think that must be the death pile. I did not kill off this unit here yet, which is a problem. Don't understand why. Let me see if there's anything more here. Yeah, but I'm racking up points. So we get over to turn 4, And let's see what happens. No, that's it. We get up to turn 4. I won on points. So yes, the Thunder. This is his death pile because this guy was completely removed. I contested this objective, so he didn't get points for it. I own this objective because this guy is within range to be able to qualify, and I don't think these guys, even though the angle looks like they might be, they were able to do it. And I think it might have been one of those things where if you first one there gets it, you got to remove the guy from it. I own this. But even if this unit was able to come in and take the center objective, I managed to get enough points when time ran out on turn 4. I had the game. So now I'm up to top table. Okay, and while this is a unit, this is an army of Skaven, I was supposed to face the next guy up, who had a very scary looking list. He had Scarbrand, he had some Bloodletters, Sail. So he had a little bit of a Sail Bloodletter bomb, not the massive one that I usually see. But he had some really good stuff. Scarbrand's just an unbelievably powerful monster. He could do that unbelievable carnage ability where nothing saves it. So any of my saves are not going to help. But of course, if I can appropriately drop him with a -3 to his hit rolls, that might mitigate a lot of that, which is what my plan was, to try and really put him into that bubble and just keep him there until I can drop him and wither him down. And that would also mitigate a lot of the bonuses that the Bloodletters would get. And I faced an army like this before, and I did pretty well against it. But unfortunately, and this would have been a good fight, I don't know if I would have taken it. The guy I was playing is a smart guy. We were talking all kinds of strategy. He certainly knows the game. I think he has a channel of his own. So if you're watching, let me know, and I'll be happy to plug your channel. And I believe I already follow it. But he had to leave because the guy I played in game 2 got sick, and that was unfortunate. We were a little concerned about that. He just wasn't feeling well, and he had to go, and that kind of sucked. And I was going to split. The idea was to go ahead and split the victory between me and this guy because we had the toughest 2 armies, and we won our 2 games pretty decisively. But the TO Joe said no, play the game. I know these guys had to leave, but we have opponents. We have still other people here to play, and I respected that. If people got to go, they got to go. But we're still playing a tournament here. So I'm gonna go and take care of the other guy that had to leave because I did tell him that we were gonna just split it up, but that's between me and him. The event organizer did what he's supposed to do. So I'll probably do some some 3D printing or something for him just to hook him up in some way. We'll see, but we chatted real quickly online, and I just felt bad because it would have been a nice good fight to see really to see who was going to be the victor. But I faced what looks like a pretty tough army here. This is a Skaven army with a lot of interesting stuff. He's got 2 furnaces. He's got 2 big units of plague monks. There are 3 plague claw catapults and a vermin lord. I mean, this is pretty sick. And I believe the guy in the center there is warlock engineer or something like that. So a lot of artillery. Some pretty good close combat stuff, and then 1 very strong monster, and he's got some bodies. And I believe we're playing that there's like I forget the name of the mission, but it's where you got 4 different points, and 1 in each of your deployment zones, 1 in the center, and it might be border war, I forget. And this is my army, so I deployed up here. Again, I'm trying to. He's spread out. He looks like he's going after he's looking to go after all the objectives, and I heavied up big time on my. You can see the left part of the screen, my right, and I know that all these units can move really quickly. So if I needed to really beeline towards the center to kind of take the far end, I could do it, and I could do it fast before he could redeploy. All right, so. This is what setup was. As you can see here, again, I felt that the units that were down here at the bottom could zip all the way around here really fast. But I also see he's got this Vermin Lord here, and I want to take out that Vermin Lord. All right, so we get to turn 1, and I get to turn. I believe I outdropped him because he didn't have any battalions. So I just moved these guys over here with Heinrich to take the center. I figured if he's going to try and shoot these guys, he's probably going to obliterate them. But let him take out the zombies. I'll have Heinrich sit here and and sit pretty for a turn or two before he finishes them off. And in the meantime, I'm going to swoop in and just take everything out here on the right side here and work my way towards the center. At least that's what I'm going to try to do. But if he focuses the fire towards me, I own this objective, and eventually I'm going to go and deny him his. So we go. It's turn, his turn, and okay. So we get the charge in, and I managed to get the Morngul in on one of his furnaces, as well as the Blood Knights, who we were able to take, get to his Vermin Lord. I got, I think, just one of his one of my Hex Wraiths onto the I don't think they're even close enough, maybe close enough to activate, perhaps. And then I just backed it up with my Mortis Engine, who wasn't able to activate his pulse stuff because that happens in the hero phase. I'll have to do that for next turn. And then backed up my Neferata, so I can determine what I'm going to do with her. So, and I managed to do some bloodying, but didn't kill anything. I mean, I think I killed maybe some of his Plague Monks. That's about it. Turn 2. All right, and it looks like I must have gotten the turn 2. So he got the second part of the turn, and I got turn 2. And as you can see, his Vermin Lord's gone. So I killed his Vermin Lord. I decided to move Nephi into the Plague Furnace. The Morngul is with here in the Plague Furnace. I've got the Mortis Engine sitting here as well, attacking the furnace, but mostly focusing on the Plague Monks, who can do tons of attacks. I moved around the side here. I got my Blood Knights in and my Vampire Lord in. I want to drop these Plague Monks. If I can't take out the furnace, I'll leave something to finish it off, and everything else I want to try and move off to start dropping all these catapults. But in the meantime, I've still got 4 of my Hex Wraiths left. So I had retreated them out and put them in a position where they can charge the catapults. Now, they can't do it this turn, but they're going to threaten next turn. And whatever shooting he's done, I forget if the catapults have a minimum range, so I guess they couldn't target these guys. But I know they were targeting what he has here, and he might have focused fire, and it just didn't do enough to kill off anything. He might have gone after the Morngul, which is, I guess, a mistake a lot of people make. I mean, it's good if you can get rid of him. It's a lot of points, and the best way to do it is from long-range shooting. Absolutely. But he's got some pretty good saves, and he ignores Ren, so that's a problem. If I were him, I probably would have gone after Neferata. I mean, it would have been more wounds, but it certainly would have been a bigger hit to me to lose Neferata than to lose the Morngul. And Neferata is actually a few more points. She's like 40 more points, and she's a caster. So, and she could do more damage output. I think the Morngul is more survivable. So the bigger move would have been to go after Nephi, especially from long range. All right. So as you can see here, I finished off not only his Plague Monks, but the Furnace. I haven't really taken a whole lot of damage. I think I've taken a bunch of points on the Morngul. I can't see where the die is here. But he hasn't gone down, and I'm still almost at full strength here. I've lost only 1 Hex Wraith otherwise. So I think I can recover, and he's now down a Vermin Lord and a Furnace and his Plague Monks, and this center artillery battery is way in being threatened right now. So he's got to get into the fight. So I believe he starts, pulling off some shots, and I think he dropped all of these, all of these zombies. So he's starting to wipe out my zombies, trying to deny me the center. And I see he's got a plan, which is fine. I think he's going to hope that the Plague Claws and the Warlock Engineer in the center can hold out long enough to keep that objective, and he's going to try and steal mine, which I can appreciate, because I think if you take both objectives by turn 3, you win the game. So it's not a bad idea. But he turns and he does a veer off towards the center here, which I think is a mistake. I think he should have gone straight up for the center here. Look here. I've got 1 zombie left. With all that shooting, he could easily have cleaned up with a big run here. He would have been here by the end of the next turn. Maybe even with a good, charge. I don't know if he would be able to do with a good charge. These guys don't move terribly fast. But you can see I moved off my Heinrich because, hell, I don't want to. I don't know why I put Heinrich off of here. I think I might have put him over here so he was in range to throw up an arcane bolt the previous turn. But in any case, I think he's going after the center here, and he did wipe out my Hex Wraiths, which is fine. That's worth the points. It's less things for me to be able to try and threaten his center, but I think he needed to win the game. He needed to try and go after my objective. He's not going to win the game without it. And that's basically what happened. He did not, and I wound up with first place, with 3 games maxed out. And that was, it was fun. There was some really interesting play. I got to play, 3 different armies, which is always good. The TO is very good about spreading out the awards, make sure that everybody got something that was, that contended. It was a good game of gameplay. But I was happy to go and take the first place rank. It was nice. It was nice to take the the top honors. And then I learned shortly afterwards that the guys are actually looking to really double down on their efforts to make this GT a real thing, and that's what they're doing. And let me just tell you, the prize awards for this are pretty impressive. I'll see if I can pull that up while I'm talking, but look, it's $50 to enter, which is pretty steep. But the point is that first place I think is like $600. It's for the prize pool is derived from the for the most part from the admissions. And I mean, like, we're talking like $600 for first, $400 for second, $200 for third, and I think it's like $500 for the best painted. And when I say best painted, I mean, everybody in this is going to be judged for painting, but if you don't have the best painted army, you could still win the overall rankings. But for a best painted, it's going to be the best painted army, thematically and otherwise. That's a lot of cheddar as a reward for your painting skills. If you come into this and you just get smoked as a general, but you have the best painted army, you're going to walk out with a pretty nice prize. I'm very impressed with it. I think it's a nice enticement. I hope you get a lot of people. It's going to be at a hotel. I think I forget how many spots. I don't know if it's 20 spots or 50 spots. I think it might be 50 is the max that we have. It's going to be at a hotel in Parsippany. It's at the Hilton. Let's see, here we go. Hilton in Parsippany. So the address, as you can see, is down on the bottom. But you can go check out Gamer Grunts on Facebook or message me, and I'll go and fill you in on any information. But sign up, because those spots are going to go pretty quickly. And I think it's a $50 admission. I will say this: I'm not playing. Nelson invited me to go and do commentary, and Nelson is looking to film it, to do a production crew, have a production crew come in and do like a Warhammer TV type thing. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do the play-by-play. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that. I don't know who my co-host is going to be. I may actually look to recruit somebody to kind of do it with me from the community. I don't think that Vince or Tom are available, which would have been awesome. And I'm not sure what the specifics of whether it's going to be on Twitch or we're going to upload it at some point at a later date onto YouTube, or how that's going to work out. I got to really talk with Nelson about that. But I'm impressed with the effort to make a regional event, and really a nice carrot to get people to come to it. And then start the circuit over again with, like, in the region. One of the things that I had talked about with the GW design and community team at Adepticon, I was one of the lucky people that were invited to dinner and drinks on Saturday night. I think that the Northeast area specifically is just really ripe for the growth of a real circuit and a GT. And while Gamer Grunts has been talking about it for a long time, I think they're really on the cusp of actually doing something, and I'm really happy about it. And I really hope that more people respond to it, because the more people that do get involved, the bigger it's going to grow, and the better it's going to be, and the more prizes it's going to be. And I think we may be able to see something in this region that might draw people from other parts of the country, and maybe even internationally, if we can support it and if it can be done right. And I think they're on the pace to doing that. So I'm going to help these guys out. I'm going to help them with terrain. I hope they can get some tables. We'll see if maybe we get some sponsorships for some game mats and stuff, and maybe we can get it televised and make it a real thing. And if we can get it to be a big enough size, maybe we'll get the attention of some of the GW people. That's my goal. So I'm going to keep in touch with them, and I'm going to work with the Gamer Grunts guys and see what we can do. Check this out. If you're in the Northeast region, or if you're looking to travel to the Northeast region sometime in August, this would be a good reason to do it. I mean, this could be a lot of fun. And if you're competitive, or if you're a good painter and you want to show off your skills, this is worth taking a look at. All right. So hope you enjoyed it, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I've got another one-day event that I went to just a week back that I'll be doing a video for sometime over the weekend or in the upcoming week. Another one-day 3 game event. And if you guys have any interests in any content, feel free to send me requests. If you have lists that you want, if you have your army list that you want me to send me, so I can build you a list. Send it to me. Shoot me a note in my in the comments, or you can message me on the back end of my channel. And tune in. I'm going to be doing some deeper dive with Tom at some point this coming week on the Quadrant Overlords, really kind of building up some really competitive list combinations. I know I haven't addressed Blades of Corn, but I know a lot of people already have done that, but I might revisit that. And I'm looking forward to some new stuff that's coming up as well. I know that tomorrow, Saturday, there's supposed to be a big announcement by GW, and it may be just as simple as like a community page or something like that, but maybe it's something bigger. Who knows? We'll probably know that. So by the time you're watching this video, you may have already learned that information. So, going back in time, this could be all, non-conversation, but there's some really exciting things happening with Age of Sigmar. I'm really happy to see how much it's just exploding. All the shops, even places that had dried up on, where after the death of Warhammer Fantasy and the research and then the reintroduction of it as Age of Sigmar, there was like 3 shops where just nobody was playing anything. They stopped with Warhammer Fantasy and they weren't playing Age of Sigmar. Now it's everywhere. And more people, even some of the skeptics, even some of the people that were major detractors in the local area, they're playing it, which I'm really happy to see. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and have a great day.